with you, man? Hey, I'm still bald-headed. That was a good live that you did. I like that. That was dope. I like it. I'm about to pull in somewhere and then start this live. Somebody told me to go get some coconut water. Check it out. Salute to the chat. Salute, salute. We're gonna get started in just a minute. So I was thinking about this Travis Scott situation, right? And I know we kind of broke it down from different angles to, you know, who's to blame, who's not to blame, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there was something, I went back, because I really wasn't following Travis Scott like that, to be honest with you guys. So I went back and I was checking out some interviews. And I noticed that he talked a lot about time. You know, the essence of time. And people don't realize that the time that they have is limited. Now, he's not the only person that I've heard say something about limited time. When I go to my Wounded Warriors weekly sit down, you know, they talk about the essence of time and the lack thereof. You know, if they had more time, they would do this. If they had more time, they would do that. If they could go back in time. I hear Will Smith talk about, you know, time, you know. And I wanted to ask you guys, do you believe that you have enough time? And I'm not talking about just enough time in a day. I'm talking about, do you believe that you have enough time in this life to be happy? Do you believe that you have enough time to manifest your goals and your dreams? You have enough time with your family? You have enough time to explore higher education or travel and build your empire, leave your legacy? Do you have enough time? Or are you wasting time? Because that's really what it really boils down to. I was just listening to another podcast talk about time, and you know, so it's interesting that we all kind of have this notation about time. But my thought process is, how many people are wasting time holding grudges? Like, you haven't talked to your family members in years, and you know, you haven't talked to yo whatever in years, and if someone told you you had 24 hours left to live, how much time would you use to go back and say, I'm going to let bygones be bygones? It's time. Or how many people are going to use that time to continue to hate, to continue to discourage, to continue to say this grudge is worth the time? I think that's interesting. I think that, you know what I'm saying, you have those people that do hold on to grudges, that don't allow things to heal, and they carry around, they carry around this bitterness for people, um, for a great deal of time. This is definitely not where I want to turn at. Let me see if we can do it real quick. Definitely not where I want to turn at. Time is of the essence. I think it's always interesting to find out how people spend their time, what they find, to be the top priority. I think people that are successful and that understand the value of time, they don't do a lot of frivolous things in regards to wasting time. You ever heard of the saying, dating with a purpose? Getting right into it, saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is where I want to take this. You hear a lot of women say, hey, I don't want these men wasting my time. It's a bad glare on there. How do you get more time? How do you seize the day? How do you get what you want out of this life? How do you use the time that you have efficiently? Well, that's the question. That's the $1 million question, right? I'm gonna pull over so I can read this chat, because I wanna really just pull back, what I'm saying, the onion, so to speak, and really get deeper than surface level on this, because I think that this conversation is something that is going to be needed, and a lot of people are going to understand it. And there's some things sometimes when people say certain things, you don't realize it until someone says it or reminded you or reminds you of the importance of it. So I'm gonna pull over somewhere in a minute. Give me like 2 minutes. I'm gonna pull over. right, let's get to it. Hey, first of all, salute to the chat. I'm glad that you guys could be here with me. Let's get into this. Time. The waste of time, the proper execution of using time wisely. Who do you incorporate into your time? How many chances do you give people to waste your time? How many chances do you give lovers to waste your time? I mean, it's interesting because when we talk about time and how important it is, we normally, a lot of people focus on, not wasting time. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's not a lot of people who say, you know what, I mean, is leisure, is doing things at your leisure, is that wasting your time? Is sleeping wasting your time? So, I mean, the act of prioritizing your time, I believe, is very important. And I don't think a lot of us get an opportunity to kind of sit down and say, well, let me sit down and plan out my day. See if what I'm doing is actually productive and is an asset to my life. So therefore, it's an asset to my time. Or do you find that, you know what I'm saying, it's not until something happens that you find that you tend to prioritize your time? So I listened to this Travis Scott. I'm listening to the interviews, right? And he's harping on, people don't realize, you know what I'm saying, that their time is short. Their time is almost up. And I'm like, first of all, who you talk to? First of all, bro, hold on. Don't be cutting off my time because you got issues. You got some shit you got to work out. But the Astroworld thing, how many people you think went to that particular concert and said, whoo, it was almost my time. It was almost my time. And they realized that now I'm probably going to start living my life. I'm going to go out on the limb and start dating again. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to lose weight. Now it's time. Now time is important. Now I don't feel invincible. Now I don't feel entitled. I feel like I need to now not be lazy, not to procrastinate. Why is it that we need something to jumpstart us, for us to care about our time? I noticed that when Magic Johnson, when he came out and said, hey, I got HIV, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it's like, hey, now it's time to eat more healthy. Now it's time to be a better person. It's interesting what we use, or what is used to make us better people, better managers, better parents, better friends, better family members, hell, better enemies. It's interesting what it takes to push the button for us to say, I need to prioritize my life. I need to get my shit together. Of course, the Astroworld situation is drastic, but I also analyze that and look at it and say, I wonder how many people now are going to say, let me use my time to better myself, because my time was almost up. Are you now going to go home and hug your parents? Are you going to hug your dog? Are you going to call your friends that you fell out with over something frivolous? Hey, I love you. I miss you. Or are you going to say, hey, things happen. Jada LeRae says you got to get your affairs in order. But who takes time to do that, Jada? Who actually takes time to say, let me sit down and make sure I got health insurance. Let me sit down, make sure, I got life insurance, make sure the people that I love are taken care of in reference to the expenses I'm going to have in regards to my funeral. How many people take time to do that? Is time expensive? Is time valuable? Is time necessary? Or is time just something you could just play around with and say, well, I'll get to it in due time? Imagine if you was in the whole Astroworld situation, and you were seeing people die in front of you, see people being carried out. You're in the environment. How many people would have left? Like, how many people would have said, this is too much? Something's not right. The focus would have been on your safety and going back home to your humble abode. How many people would have said, you know what, I'm gonna risk it? Now we're getting deeper into the conversation. I believe that we risk everything because we feel like we have time to fix it. We feel like we have time to be better. We feel like we have time not only to be better, but better people, better friends, better lovers, better husbands, better wives, but just better people in general. I think people feel like, hey, I have time to correct my mistakes. So now the thought process is, what if you spent time being a bad person? You spent time being a jackass. You spent time being disrespectful. You spent time not working on your credit. You spent time cursing people out, having a bad attitude about life, thinking everybody owe you something, self-centered. You spent your time being someone unproductive. And you're in Astroworld, and now you are a victim. Who's going to take the time to try to figure out if you're worth a tear? Who's going to take their time to figure out if you were a productive person or not? Who's going to take that time? It's interesting to me because people live heinous lives, and when they die, it's always someone at the funeral. It's always somebody there to say, well, that was a good person. Like, I've never heard anyone say, well, that was a bad person. Like, no one stood up and gave the eulogy like, this person deserved to die. Hell, they gave in Harlem, they're giving Alpo a damn parade. Was it Candace Owens who said, black people uplift the worst of their community? You giving Alpo a parade? Who took the time and said that this man should be celebrated? This drug dealer, this criminal, who took the time to say that his life was so worthwhile that we need to do a parade? Interesting. How are we spending our time? What is important? What is not important? Who is important? Who is not important? What you do in life, should it matter? I don't think people worry about legacy, to be honest with you. I don't think they worry about, what's going to happen when they're gone, because they're like, hey, I'm not going to be here anyway. But I don't think they think about the imprint that they leave on people after they leave, because that's really what it's about. Your legacy is the imprint on what you leave on people after you're gone. What were they good people? What were they? Was he a good father? Was she a good mom? Was that a good sibling? Were they good coworkers? People are going to say, well, when they were alive, they were a menace to society. They spent all their time hurting other people. You know what? I was working with, addiction. I was working with people who, were alcoholics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody always felt like, well, just one more time, just one more night, I'll get clean in the morning. I'll go get help in the morning. And you know what's so funny, man? A lot of those people, when we have those groups sessions or whatever, they don't make it to the morning. They felt like they had time to fix themselves. They had time to get better, to get clean, to just stop using, to take the first step and go to rehab. They felt like they had time. When I go to my veteran meetings or whatever case to be for wounded warriors, it's like, man, I wish I had more time. Have you ever talked to someone that had cancer? And they're diagnosed with cancer, and they get a doctor to walk into a room. I'm not gonna say my friend's name, but we're going through the process. I'm there for more support. And she was like, hey, can you come to the office with me? I don't really want to go by myself. And I said, hey, no problem. Hey, what time do I need to be there? Okay, cool. And I'm sitting there, I'm trying to keep her spirits up or whatever, and she's talking to me, and the doctor comes in and says, you have 6 months left to live. Now, of course, that was more than 6 months ago, and of course, she's not alive right now. But the fact of the matter is, it's can you imagine telling someone that you have this much time? You only have this much time. And the first thing you start thinking was, well, am I such a bad person that God has only given me 6 months? And did I do something wrong in elementary school? Am I the black sheep of the family? Did I piss somebody off in heaven or whatever upper spiritual? Did I do something wrong? Did I jaywalk? Did I not go to enough church, not pay enough tithe? Did I not get straight A's? What did I do to deserve 6 months? So I'm listening to her pour into me, her story. It's like lay it on, like, and I am a conversationalist, right? I'm a life coach. And as she was pouring it on, it was so much. It was so much. I was like, so I'm sitting there drenched in emotion. I'm sitting there shocked. I'm sitting there trying to be as strong as I could be for her, but all I could do was cry. She wasn't even crying. I was crying. And I'm looking at her because I know her to be a phenomenal person. I knew she was a phenomenal person. I knew she deserved more time. So I started questioning my spirituality. I started looking at different things, and I was kind of like, well, maybe you just need to get a second opinion. So that's what I said. Maybe you need to get a second opinion. These doctors don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, that's it. That's what we're gonna go with. Yeah, that's it. I want you to find another doctor, because this doctor don't know what the hell they talking about. Of course, again, she called me. I don't know that this doctor is the #1 doctor in this region for this particular type of cancer. So to take the top-notch doctor and go down to a lesser one, that makes no sense. But again, I don't know. I'm just trying to be strong for her. I'm just trying to be, a friend and supporter. No, hell no. So I'm getting rowdy now. Now ToughLove is turning up in the goddamn hospital. You can't come in here and tell her she only got 6 months. Who the fuck you think you is? You know what? Get the fuck out. Go get your boss. It's like, sir, calm down. Please calm. No. You can't come in here and just drop that shit on somebody's lap and expect them to walk out of here and think everything's gonna be cool. Sir, please calm down. So she was like, hey, Mario. Can you imagine when you see people wasting their time? People that don't appreciate the fact that they have time with their family, but don't use it. People have time to explore and reach their goals and aspire to be great people, but don't use it. People that are so creative and powerful and can really captivate people with a message, but they waste their message hurting other people. Can you imagine how somebody like me feels seeing people who feel like they don't want to use their blessings, but I could have said, I started to say, well, how come God didn't put 6 months on those people? How come he took the good person so the bad person could live? I started questioning a lot of things. My mother died of HIV. At the time, I was actually in a foster home. So I was kind of, going back for visitation and stuff. And every time I went back, she would, slowly, be dwindling away. And I remember, my mother just telling me, hey, I'm proud of you. And I want you to live your life and not waste time. And it really never, it didn't dawn on me when I was younger, the effects of seeing how important what she was saying was. But when I went to my friends to support my friend, and I'm sitting in a hospital room, it dawned on me years later. Are we encouraging people to live their life to the fullest? Are we encouraging people to be positive? Are we encouraging people to love? Are we encouraging people to have the tough conversation? Because tomorrow is not promised. Are we encouraging people to take the time to be the best them, to live their best life? How much time are we using to do that? Somebody asked me, why am I so passionate about seeing positivity? Let people do what they want to do. I totally agree that I'm passionate about positivity, but I don't think that as long as I have breath, as long as I have a voice, as long as I have a platform, that me saying you don't have time to waste, I think that's very necessary. I think that's very necessary. I think it's very necessary to remind people that the time that you're wasting, the time that you're throwing away, there is someone sitting somewhere wishing that they had that time. Someone that would take that time and use it to benefit not only themselves, but their communities, the people around them that they love, their friends. They would probably say, hey, listen, let me take some time and go help someone else that needs somebody to help them. But I sit on social media and I see that people value wasting their time. And the second they get an inclination that their time is going to be cut short, it's God, please. No, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Please. But it would be the worst people. It would be the people who devalue, degrade, disrespect. Those people have 9 lives. Those people use their time to manipulate, to scam, to promote fraudulent behavior, to dox, to hinder, to destroy. It's not a lot of good people. It's not a lot of good people. So when you find good people, you tend to hold on to them, and you tend to tell them, thanks for being you. How can I support you? It is refreshing to see positive people. It's refreshing to see people who can have disagreements and still promote healthy conversation. I value time because people lose their time. Whether that's soldiers committing suicide in Iraq, whether that's my friend who passed away from cancer, my mother who passed away from HIV. I've seen good people, time get snuffed away. And I've seen bad people promote their time as if it's never going to stop. So it's like I have to remind men speaking to women that we're not enemies. I have to remind women speaking to men that we're not enemies. We don't have time to fight. We don't have time to bicker. We don't have time to be at such discord that now it's affecting our children and the next generation. We don't have time for all of that. If Astroworld is anything, it reminds us of how precious time is. Stop waiting for a tragedy to appreciate your time. When's the last time you told the people in your life that you love them, that you appreciate them? Last time you just picked up the phone, or just call one of your friends and say, hey, listen, we've been friends for years, and I don't think I've ever told you this, but I appreciate what it is that you do for me. Thank you. Unless last time you just went up to your children or your nieces and nephews and just gave them a hug for no reason. We don't do it because we feel we have time to get around to doing it. Because nobody reminds us. It's so much opportunity to hear this and hear that, and we're so bogged down with this type of entertainment that we don't listen to anyone that's going to tell us, I understand that you want to take time to do that, but all the time that you're spending doing it is counterproductive. If balance is not key in your life, then you will always be unsettled. You will always feel displaced. You will always feel the need to want and do more, and never understand how precious the moments that you're having right now. Every single time you wake up, I want to remind you guys of something. Every time you wake up and you can breathe on your own, you can go to the bathroom by yourself, you can wash your own face, you can wipe your own butt, is a precious moment. Is precious time. I sit with people who can't do that. Every time you hug your children, every time you go out to the club or you drive your car, whatever it is that you do yourself without help is a precious moment. The eyes, the ears that you use to see and listen to everything you can that's negative because you think that's entertainment. As soon as you lose your sight, are you then going to want to see the people you love? Are you then going to want to say, man, I wish I could look at my child a little bit longer because I spent so much time looking at that nonsense, listening to that nonsense. Remember when they say, hey, mom, can you help me with my homework? Hey, mom, can we go to the park? Hey, dad, can we go throw the football? Hey, can we go to the park? You say, later. I got time. We'll do it tomorrow. We got time. And you just happen to go out to Astroworld. You just happen to go out with your friends because you've been talking about it all week. We gonna be outside this weekend. We gonna be lit. And you go out and a drunk driver hits you head on. And your time depletes. And now you're sitting somewhere. Some of y'all going to heaven. Some of y'all going to hell. Some of y'all going to purgatory. But you're sitting somewhere saying, why did I waste all of this time? Why did I waste all that time doing things that's really not important to me? That I really, honestly, I could have did something else. So when you find someone that reminds you of how precious time is, take heed of it. Hold on to it. Share it. This conversation is not about rah-rah. It's not about screaming and yelling. It's not about overly emotional behavior. It's about looking you in your face and telling you you deserve all the time in the world. But you don't have all the time in the world. That the things you do on a daily basis is going to lay out your legacy. How did they spend their time? What did they think was funny? What did they think was important? Who did they spend their time with? Right now, if something was to happen to you, what will your time identify? The time that you spent, like online, like they get your laptop, right? You know, your parents want to know, oh, my baby just left or whatever. You know, I want to find out everything she was into, what she did, what he did, etc. So they get your laptop and you'll go to some geek squad or whatever, and they're able to find out everything you was doing online. Right? They get your phone and they're able to crack it open and find out everything you was doing online. And they say, oh, you was on this site 4 to 5 hours a day, listening to hate speech, listening to people being bashed, their families being drugged, getting cursed out. Like, this is the time that you took. Can you imagine an imprint on your family and friends if that information gets divulged, that you spent so much time doing negative stuff and listening to negative stuff? That's probably why your time got cut short. It's probably why you now need to haunt your family and tell them that you love them because you didn't take the time to do it when you was alive. So you got to come back and say something you should have said when you was alive. You got to come back and be around the family members because ain't nobody coming back to go see the content creators, right? Because that's not going to be important. Nobody's going to say, well, let me log into YouTube and see what my favorite content creators saying. No, they're going to go and they're going to want to see their children. They're going to want to see their siblings, their friends, their families. Hey, let me go fly around. Oh my God. Let me go fly around. Let me go see my friend. Let me go see my son, my daughter. Let me go see how they're doing. But these are the same daughters and sons and people that you say that you love that you did not spend time with. You did not take the time to find out how their day was going. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Travis Scott is doing a great job at reminding people their time is up. Their time is up. I don't think it's about scaring anybody. I think it's about putting you on notice. I think people need something drastic to shock them. I think people need something to wake them up, something to push them into from delusion to direction. Let me say that again. From delusion to direction. Now, here's the issue. The issue is, of course, how he's doing it. You know, whether we say it's demonic, whether we say it's Satan, whether we say it's the whatever, Armageddon. Whatever we say it is, the fact of the matter is there's going to be some losers and there's going to be some winners. And you have to decide what side of the track you're going to be on. There were some losers in Astroworld. But there are some people that's going to come from that and they're going to say, I don't have time to waste. Ladies and gentlemen, thank everybody for taking the time to listen to my perspective, and I'm hoping that it pushes you from delusion to direction. I'm Mario J. This is Tough Love. Until next time, don't waste time. Peace.